welcome back to the channel. My name is Noah, and today we are going to be replacing the front struts in my 2004 S60R. And that's it. I heard a clunky noise. I replaced the end links, I replaced the ball joints. Control arm was fine, I did everything I could, and I determined the struts were bad. And that is a pretty expensive repair if you have the 4C suspension. And if you take a look here, inside, we can see that the strut itself isn't looking too great. The bump stop has separated from the boot and is probably not really doing anything anymore. Spring looks pretty good, and yeah, let's get right into it. Might have to give it a little kick or shove in order to get it off. In all our glory, we have the front suspension setup. So we have the bolts that mount the knuckle to the strut. This has camber adjustment, the upper one, and then we have the bolt that links the end link to the strut. And up top, we have our 3 top nuts. All of this we need to undo. So the first thing we're going to start with is we're going to grab another ratchet. We're going to need to take the 18 millimeter. We're going to need to take an 18 millimeter, and then undo the end link. And if you have an impact, it's quite simple. Just put it in reverse, and it just comes right off. And also, this is a good time to check the ball joint on the end link to make sure it's still good. Next thing we want to do is we then want to undo our strut bolts. That's a 17 and an 18. And typically, if possible, you always want to break things loose on the nut side. So, ratchets in reverse, grab our 18 millimeter. There's one. And that is it. Now, this might require a little bit of influence in order to pop these bolts out, so I might have to just mess with that. And this is an eccentric bolt here, and this adjusts camber, so that's something you want to note when putting it back in. Then, in order to keep track of things, you want to thread the nut back on. So you can tell it's the top bolt because it has the eccentric bolt. And the bottom bolt, just hammer that out. Might take a little bit of effort. And then should just pop right out. Sometimes you might have to use your knee or something. And also, while you're here, make sure to watch the axle. You don't want to damage that. So that's that bolt out, and now this is free to move. And before moving on, you also want to pop your sensors loose. For example, your ABS wheel speed sensor, you want to pop that out of its little clip. Then you'll also want to undo this little bolt up here. You should just be able to bust that loose. And that is going to undo the height sensor for the 4C suspension. Since ours are special, we always want to be aware that we have a little bit more wiring than a regular S60. So this guy is going to come off. That can sit near the brake line. Put that right there so we can keep track of it. And then the next thing we're going to want to do is find our 4C wire. That's going to come off the bottom of the strut here. The 4C wiring is going to come off of the bottom of the strut, and then following it up into here, it will be the bottommost wire. So what you want to do is get in there. You can just pop the strut out and then find which wire it is. You have to hold the strut so it doesn't just come falling down. There's one. two, and hold this so it doesn't fall down. The strut is free to move now. Remove the strut from the vehicle. Move this out of the way. Make sure no brake ends or anything are getting crushed by it. Ooh. Yes, sir. This might be a bit of a struggle to get this out, but a little bit of elbow grease should be able to get it clear of the tie rod. I want to get this in order to get some leverage on the control arm to pull that down. Then strut should clear. Grab a little 10 mil. I'll kind of pop inside there, and then undo the ABS wheel speed sensor. It's important, we do not want to pull this wiring. Do some turns. Should be ready to just pop out. Make sure you do not lose this bolt. Then, once that's done, we'll get the strut down. Make sure, find our 4C wiring, then we'll follow that up. Then, you want to find, if you tug on it, which wire in that harness it is. And it appears, can you see which, tell me which wire? I'm going to go tug on it.
Yep.
The 4C wiring.
It's pulling all three down.
I can just pull this. I could just cut the zip ties on this and pull this out. This is just something designed to make it look a little neater. And be aware that I did not rehearse any of this. This is all just doing this on the fly. So we want to pop the wiring out of this little plastic piece here just to get it a little much more easy to move. And then bring that up, and then cut the zip tie. After you cut that, all these wires should be free. Now I should more easily be able to see which wire I'm tugging, yeah. And that's the middle wire that I'm tugging. Then what we'll need to do is get a pick in there or something in order to remove this wire. Push down just enough. I should be able to just pull and just could try without a glove on or something, see if that'll help my case. And we could trouble here, and there we go.
Pop.
Pop. All right. Now let's see how bad this is. Ooh. Yeah, listen to that. Top mount does not sound too good. The spring seat doesn't look to be in too good of shape, and I can't even see when these struts, the date code on these struts is. They're just extremely worn out. Next thing we're gonna do is pop off this little dust shield that'll reveal to us our 21mm socket we need to undo. And
first, where's your compressor?
Right here. And that's what I was getting on to next. Next, we will want to get our spring compressor. And
ready to handle a live grenade, Azrin?
And spring compressors, while they are useful, they are very dangerous if you don't use them properly. So a few precautions. Stand behind or to the side of the spring itself. So if it were to shoot open, it would go this way, not...
You want to damage the S4?
Well, what I mean is, if you sit like this, then you won't be in the line of fire. If I were to stand right here, then it would be directly within the line of fire. So
I have seen these things shoot across shops.
Want to grab...
Take the live grenade!
Want to get our biggest spring compressors here. Okay. We want to get these on.
So putting them in the middle like that is okay?
Yeah. All you're really doing again is just compressing the spring. You're not trying...
Just enough for you to get the bolt off and everything.
Exactly. Then, what we'll want to do is take this guy and install. You want to take your gloves off for this, give you a little bit more dexterity. We're going to install the bolts and actually get this thing put together. So you're going to slide this into here, and also while you're at it, make sure the threads are lubricated, which in this case these are lubricated by oil. Or every so often you could just go get some whatever lubricant you have, pour some on the threads and run it just to make sure that it is lubricated and it won't jam while you're using it. So what we're gonna do, get this guy. And this is actually not the first time I've used one of these. This is a process you do not want to rush. You want to take your time. Now, time for the real deal. Let's tighten this baby up.
You see, that doesn't make any sense to me.
Well, no.
Because if you were afraid, then why aren't you hiding to the side instead of directly into...
I had to hold it up.
You're still directly in the line of fire.
This will protect me.
You are directly... That is going to smack you in the face.
So, better than it smacking me.
This man has zero logic.
Hey, no. I'm protecting the S4, okay?
We'll give you some credit.
Yep. Once the strut starts to feel loose in the spring is when you know that you can safely disassemble it. Should be ready. I'll be ready with my 21mm impact. And then that'll fit this top nut right here. And here's where there's one. Get this top nut off. Now we have to deal with this little cross nut here. And this guy, what you want to do is get a little pit. Get your hammer and your chisel, and you can start going at this. And
I think it's still under some spring tension.
maybe a little bit, but the spring press will hold it in. Oh, looks like we got. Now, empty all the contents. Ooh, you'll see this in a moment, but this spring seat did not look great. Here, take a look at this. This is the spring seat, but you can see part of it's torn through. It just wasn't doing anything anymore. There's the old strut. And as you can see, basically no rebound.
Do that again, do that again.
I'll have to pull this thing out.
Oh, man.
Ooh, dude, that was...
No, where'd the rebound go? The rebound's no longer in there.
Yep, that's for damn sure. You can see, when I try and push this down...
Yeah, way better.
Yeah, it rebounds. Now, what we want to do is assemble the new strut. So, what we're going to do is slide this guy in, seat the spring in place, slide our bump stop, and boot over the assembly. Pretty much bottom that out. And this has and these struts have a defined notch where the spring goes. Just kind of gotta hold it a little bit. Thank you. We'll back this onto the spring here. And then, yeah, well, this will probably have to do for now. Just let it sit like that. And then what we have to do, we're gonna grab our new nuts.
This will work.
This housing does not strip. At this point, I should probably also be able to just take my wrench and just tighten it. And I will admit, this is a very weird design to use a T-nut as opposed to just a normal nut. Don't know what Volvo was thinking, but again, they're the
Volvo is
engineers.
Volvo.
Leave this engineering.
Far down that nut is supposed to be.
Pretty much till it's tight, because you want to still be able to slide your strut mount over the nut, because you don't want to be able to tighten this anymore by hand, right? It's starting to get tight, so now what you want to do is then take your hammer and your chisel and then just pop that in there the rest of the way. Now that's basically bottomed out. So next up, get the strut mount, slide it on over, make sure the strut is still seated as it should be. Then what you want to do now is then take your stop washer, which should be buried somewhere under here. Did you happen to see the stop washer? It's
No.
like a little flat top washer. Unless I somehow move to the side, because then that'll pop over the assembly. Sorry, 1 second.
Nut.
Oh, this is the stop washer. You want to slide this on over the assembly. Then your 21mm nut will thread onto the top.
Thought you had ratcheting ones.
I do, but not this big.
Oh.
Then, once that's basically able to turn by hand, just take your impact and just tighten it down the rest of the way. Okay.
I was about to say, and knock the entire assembly out of the spring compressor.
Yep, and that is basically tight. And from there, we can defuse the bomb. A bit more, and then should just pop right on out. And look at that. This right here is a new Volvo 4C strut assembly. Strut mount, listen to that, smooth as butter. Spring seat not torn through, and a bump stop that actually does something. So now, comes the bit of the difficult part. We need to reinstall this coil spring assembly back into the car. And before we do that, what we want to do is undo these. And I have oh, that's okay. I'm gonna go grab. This is going to be the difficult part. For the wiring, we need to get it back through and up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go grab my little grabber tool. I'm going to grab my claw tool. Very handy for anyone, not just Volvo guys. And then we need to drop it.
Hey, Aspen, want to be the grabber operator?
Grabber operator.
Wrong way.
Grabber for what?
And then we'll just
What
pull
am I
this.
grabbing?
Right.
The cable. You're going to use this to grab a cable.
So you press down on this, that'll open the claws, and I'll tell you when to close them.
You want me to grab a nut?
Yep, nuts are on the bottom, they're the gold ones. Just start threading them on there. Oh, I went. Cool. Nice and loose. Pop this knuckle down. And
Also, it's preferential he get that in before you start tightening anything.
yeah, of course. I'm just gonna loosen this and then push up on the strut so that we can.
Oh, did I tighten it too much, or are you tightening it?
I'm tightening it, or just hope. Need to make sure it didn't cross thread anything.
I didn't.
Okay.
I would know.
And that is the strut assembly in the housing. And now we can just go grab our little dust cover, throw that back on. If that'll even go on. Just make it look nice, that's all. Now, what I want to do, then,
Wrestle it.
yep,
And don't puncture the CV joint
yep.
housing.
Alright, so that one's a bottom one. So the bottom bolt, as we can see, does not have the eccentric bolt. So we'll have to do this sort of. Okay, that's the bottom in. We can thread the nut on.
They didn't want to really do much to that thing.
The eccentric bolt should hopefully just get seated in here. So then what you'll typically want to do as well with this is push this in while you're tightening. Just to. Now what we're going to want to do
So you want to do just the fronts today?
We're doing the rears too, but probably without David.
Yep, I got him.
My 18.
No, we need a 10mm socket dispenser on the wall, just stacked.
10 mil. Imagine in our shop we have a 10mm socket dispenser.
Oh man, that might be needed.
Oh no, where'd the 10 mil go?
Oh, another one. You start finding them inside the vacuum cleaner. You're like, oh, come on. Heck yeah.
And typically, you want to tighten these on the nut side.
Oh!
As you can see, that one is going in. And we want to make sure that it takes a little bit of fine tuning to do this, but push this all the way in. Switch this to tighten. Okay, that should be nice and tight, but we'll need to do a couple more on that. This is taking a little bit longer just because I'm trying to really dial this darn thing in. If I can just get this bolt to turn a little bit. Just gotta see if I can actually get this thing to.
Someone on the internet is going to be calling us idiots.
Yep. Well,
That is the way it goes.
the thing is, we are idiots. At least I am, so if you call me an idiot, you're right. But, thing is, at least we learn. Alright.
That's good. I mean, that was turned a bunch.
What I need to do is I need to get this, like, all the way in. Okay, that should do nicely for now, and then instead,
I think we're doing it right.
yep, I'm just trying to get the camber right on this.
Yeah.
We just gotta brute force.
There's a slot in the bolt. Not necessarily a slot, but it's where it just fits in. And if you don't get it at the right,
At the right angle, then.
then it just.
Yeah.
It's what's called
it
it's,
don't.
it's what's called an eccentric bolt. Since it's
Little eccentric.
yeah, exactly. It's eccentric in shape.
That's what adjusts your camber.
Yes, sir.
Hey, I wouldn't mind some more camber on this thing.
Kids thinking camber is like the only thing worth it in a car. It's like, shut up. Bro, shut.
Imagine having tires that like only the basically the
The inside, like, 2 inches actually touch the ground.
yeah,
Oh, man.
and the rest of it is just new tire.
Fresh tires.
No.
You still got the little, like, you still got the little nubs.
Yeah, yeah,
Like
yeah.
the little hairs on the outside. Because they haven't touched anything. But the occasional curb.
They're just the inner ring is like bald, and like everything else is.
And now, that is a
Guten
front,
Tag, more like Guten Tight.
and that is a front strut assembly. Look at the.
Yeah.
And now we just got to get our end link nut. Azrin, do you have that, or do you get it?
Nah.
Thank you. And that is an 18 mil. And then you can probably just impact this on.
I gotta do that to my dad next time I'm holding the freaking flashlight. He's gonna lose it. I walked on him. He was watching Spotlight episode 6.
Then
He was
Yeah.
without us.
And I was like, what? No, you can't spoil it.
boom. Couple more things. We got to get our.
Yep. All right, and Ezra, puller time.
Polar.
Yep.
Polar.
All right, so maybe we can just have him get that up and plugged in
Okay.
first. All right. Are we good to plug that in?
Yes.
All right.
I have it. What do you want? Up, all the way up?
All the way up. Yeah.
In the spot that you need it. You don't want to pull it through like the front of the engine.
Did you lose it?
Shit.
Did
Yes.
you lose it?
Yeah, stick it back there. Oh, put that.
You can just drop it back down through the engine bay and then I can hook you back on.
Azern is just the shenanigan generator.
Shenanigan generator.
He's the Clarkson in a way.
I don't know. Getting his body type too.
I don't have any other body types.
You have the Hammond body type.
Hammond is 5'7".
So are you. Wait, no.
No, wait
I'm
a
6'1".
minute. wait.
How are you 6'1"? If you're 6'1", then I'm 5'11".
I measure myself. I am 6'1".
Seeds of doubt cloud your mind.
How about yours?
Oh, very much mine as well. Very much mine as well.
They're in my mind prevalently.
They live there rent free.
What do you think of this, though? That is a front strut that has been causing problems for me all this time, but we finally got a new one. I just got to keep turning on this ABS wheel speed sensor.
You mean the boys over torquing the wheel speed sensor?
I just found
Boom, that's in. Now, if we can actually make sure what we have left, then we can just put the wheel back on. And this guy can just, we can get the wires back into the little clip. Just doing this for nice and neatness. Then get the 4C wiring.
Where does that attach?
It actually slides in like that, and then this attaches to this top bar.
Sweet.
This, we might have a little bit of trouble sliding this thing in, but alright, we can two's enough though for this thing anyway.
Yep.
Yeah, we got strut assembly done on this side of the car, and now at this point we could just bolt the wheel back on. Set this one out. Yeah, and looks like I didn't crack my CV boot or anything.
Is it?
oh my god.
That's one strut job done.
All right, so.
I don't know about you, but I'd say that went pretty well for the first one.
Yeah. All right.